Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine is now in its fourth year, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Actually, just the opposite. Russia just launched one of its largest aerial attacks ever, firing off almost 1,000 drones in a 24-hour period. Now, among the targets, a 17th century St. Andrew's Church in the city of Lviv. Let's bring in Robert English. He's an associate professor of international relations at USC. Professor, great to see you again. 1,000 drones into Ukraine. All of this is just one heck of a reminder for us not to forget what's happening in Ukraine with Russia right now. But what is going on? Who is winning the war right now?
It's essentially where it was before. It's just that the pace of killing and the volume of munitions being expended is tremendously higher. The Russians have launched what appears to be a spring offensive, multiple attacks along the front. None of them have shown much success. In fact, they've incurred really high casualties. And these drone attacks are fighting on the other front, trying to demoralize, discourage the Ukrainians at a time when they're already worried that the weapons deliveries and the world's attention are all being diverted to the Persian Gulf. So it's a really tough moment for Ukraine.
We've seen Ukraine retake some ground as Russia is gearing up for this springtime offensive. Is there anything on the technological front in the drone space that is a game changer? Or again, as you say, is this just a quagmire? We're still in the same position that we were, but with more people dying?
The seesaw of drone warfare and counter drones continues. We've all learned, if we weren't paying attention through Ukraine, now through the Persian Gulf, that the Ukrainians have the world's best anti-drone systems, not $2 million Patriot missiles, but small, cheap drones meant to intercept other drones, especially the kind that Iran has, the Shahed or Geran in the Russian version. It's not a game changer, but it has, improved Ukraine's defenses and made some of these drone attacks, more difficult to inflict. But Russia has missiles. Russia has ways of defeating Ukraine's air defenses at great expense, but also at, vicious impact. So not a game changer, the seesaw of move and counter move.
And do you see the war with Iran right now impacting the war in Ukraine in a meaningful way?
It will if it continues much longer. We know that, of course, the skyrocketing oil prices have been of benefit to Russia's war coffers. The war chest has grown considerably. But if that eases soon, it'll have been a temporary boost for Russia, not a long-term one. And the same goes with the provision of munitions. If this war in the Persian Gulf can be wound up soon, then some of the air defense missiles and surveillance systems that have been diverted to the to the Persian Gulf front can return to Ukraine. It all depends on how much longer it goes on. The damaging has not been crippling yet, but it could become really serious in another 3 or 4 weeks.
And it's really difficult to tell what is real and what is propaganda when it comes to the way that the war is presented in Russia, also in Ukraine. And yet I keep seeing these reports about drone attacks, individual drone attacks targeting Russian soldiers, really demoralizing troops in Russia to the point that they are finding themselves putting, officers on the front lines that wouldn't normally be on the front lines and dealing quite the blow to morale. Is there any truth to that?
There's truth to that, but Russia has dealt with this morale problem from the beginning and largely dealt with it brutally. Yes, there are appeals to patriotism to keep people signing up. More and more, they require huge payments, so it's an appeal to their budget. And then there's simply the brutal treatment of recruits that if you desert or if you refuse to fight, the punishment will inflict on you will be even worse. And that's the main thing that keeps Russia going. Not belief in their cause, not even the money. They're having to resort to really, really bestial tactics. But so far, it's working.
An important conflict that we will continue to keep our eyes on, and we really appreciate you helping us do that. Professor English, thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.